Good evening. Call the Monday, March 30th FinCom meeting to order. Roll call. We're all here that are going to be here tonight. Steve, Bonnie,
Sandy.
and Sandy are not going to be able to make it. Everybody else is here. If you want to stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Before we get to the fun stuff, I was just quietly talking to Mark, saying there have been some significant rumors today. I don't know if that needs to be addressed or not regarding the accountant.
So, as I was telling Bill before the meeting, I'm not able to comment on personnel matters, but I can assure you that operations are continuing as normal. We're not missing a beat. There's no disruption.
So in James's absence, and James has been part of this process as long as I've been here, who's covering that? If we have financial questions or accounting questions, who are we referring them to?
We have a strong finance team. You can refer those directly to me. I have a number of qualified financial professionals. We'll get right back to you.
Okay. I don't know if anybody has any other questions, comments on this topic. Hearing none, I guess we'll go to the agenda. And first thing up is the Norton School Department.
So do we have to hit like podium, or does it just automatically go there? Say next. He's watching and he'll advance it for you.
All right, great. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for having me tonight. It is my pleasure to present to you our FY27 budget request. This is the school committee approved. So, and thank you to Bossum for having my slides there so that I can concentrate on just sharing the information with you. Next.
Bassam, that's your cue.
Okay, thank you. So as some of you may know, we put together a new strategic plan last year. And as always, we want to make sure that our budget priorities are connected to that strategic plan. So our 4 primary goals are connected and relevant learning experiences, enhancing student outcomes, ensuring that we are providing both teachers and students with high quality instructional materials, and then finally our interactive school and community partnerships. Next. Thank you. Here is some October 1st enrollment data for you. The reason we always use October 1st is because that is the date that the Department of Education references for all of our Chapter 70 funds. So that number is the most important. As of October 1st, 2025, we had 2,362 students. Of those, 2,086 were Norton students enrolled in Norton Public Schools. 204 were school choice students. 39 students that are enrolled in the Reads Deaf and Hard of Hearing program that you access our inclusion services and make a home in our schools. 32 students that are out of district for specialized educational placements. And then we have 1 student who is attending a special education program here in town. However, their home district is actually paying us a tuition. They did not have a program that was suitable for their child. So as you can see, over the last 10 years, we've definitely seen a decline in enrollment. We are down about 275 students, which is about a decrease of 11%. However, when you're taking a look at our projected percentage changes for the next 10 years, we're really anticipating to stay about level. It's only a decrease of 0.2%. I think the important thing for us to acknowledge here is that any current data includes our school choice students. So for our current classes here, that 25-26 number, all of those numbers include school choice. Next. We have a number of requirements from the state of Massachusetts, and we're making sure that we are advocating and educating students of all different backgrounds and abilities. For general education students, we have to provide 900 hours of education over 180 days to students at the elementary level and 990 hours for students in grades 6 through 12. We have required coursework through the Massachusetts State Curriculum Frameworks, and we also have to ensure that students are exposed to core coursework, including special subject areas such as physical education and college and career pathways. In terms of special education mandates, we are obligated to provide all students with a free and appropriate education to students beginning at the age of 3. And most times those students become part of our school community at the age of 3 through our Little Lancers preschool program. And at some times, depending on the needs of the student, they are with us through age 22. We also have to make sure that we are providing students with programs that meet the specific learning needs. And if we are not able to meet those specific needs here in district, we are obligated to find a placement for them in an outside district placement. Next. We have a lot of really great programs and opportunities for our Norton students. Over the last several years, we've added a few programs. We have a CCTE program, which is partially funded through a DESE grant, and we receive Perkins 74 funding for that. We have a marketing technology certificate, a small business ownership, and then also business and engineering technology. We were recently named an innovative pathway for the state of Massachusetts, and we have a great manufacturing program that really has just gotten off the ground in this current year, and that is all funded through a grant as well. We have students that do internships. They have career pathways or career partnerships both during the school year and during the summer. And we also have a number of students that do senior projects within our community or a little bit further outside based on what they're interested in pursuing after Norton High School. Next. We really began our budget process very, very early in the year. Christine and I sit down around Halloween, and we start getting ready to send out our budget information to all of our shareholders. We work really closely with the administrative team, our school principals, and also our teacher leaders because they're the closest to the classroom and can really tell us exactly what is needed. We start really by looking at efficiencies and class size. We look at enrollment data. At the end of the day, the primary focus is that we're making sure we're doing what's in the best interest of our students from that academic standpoint. As you are all aware, because this is not the first time I've presented to you, we try to do a balance of meeting the mandates that we have in terms of contractual obligations and also, trying to improve instruction and improve opportunities for students as well. Next. So this is where we are right now. For the last few years, I've come to you and I've advocated for us to be in that bottom purple box, that just level services. So a level service budget really means we're maintaining class sizes, we're maintaining the programs and services that we're currently offering students, and there's nothing extra. This budget this year takes us up a tiny little bit to what I'm calling a needs-based budget. And really that just addresses the most critical needs of our students. Nothing in this budget is what I would consider fluff or things that would make us more competitive with regional districts or other communities around us. It's simply things that we need in order to continue moving learning forward for students. Next. The budget that you have in front of you tonight is a needs-based budget with a request of 4.4% increase. That is $1,632,514, which would bring our budget to $38,734,183 for the FY27 school year. Next. I always try to show you how we get to that number. All of this is included in your budget book as well. We start with our final appropriation budget from the school year, FY26 school year, and then we take a look at our salary increases, which are about $2 million. We actually have some decreases in out-of-district special education costs, as well as decreases in special education transportation, which brings us down to the $38,734,183. I just want to confirm, did you all receive the comprehensive book that we shared with you?
8 slides to a day, to a page. We can't read them.
Emailed today, right?
Nope.
No.
It's a
the other
full
book.
book,
Oh, yeah.
as we share every single year. It was
check
dropped off
the-
a few weeks
The
ago.
mailboxes downstairs.
No.
Christine, in my bag, there's a blue folder.
Mailboxes for who?
You need to just grab the,
Finance committee has a mailbox in the copy room.
News to me. I've only been here 6 or 7 years.
I think the chair uses. I
I think we did get an email about this, but I didn't know.
I knew where it was in the
Didn't
old
follow up on
building.
It's a new building. It's by the employee entrance door. First door on your left.
Yeah.
Is it?
Is it the same thing you're showing us on the slides?
No.
no, it's much more comprehensive.
Oh, okay.
This is a budget book that I share with you guys every single year. I'm sure you're very familiar looking at it. It was dropped off at Town Hall a few weeks ago for you. I apologize that I made an assumption that you received it. I would have brought extra copies tonight. And everything that I'm sharing with you tonight is in here in some capacity. I also shared last week, I believe, or maybe even the week before, a rostered list of staff. Did you receive that? Perfect, great. Thank you. So I apologize, it's small.
Do you want to, I had a question regarding your school choice comment earlier on a slide. You want to wait till the end? Or
I have a whole slide on school choice.
Okay,
If
what
we
is
want, we can talk about it there, Mr. Schleicher, or we can, it's certainly up to you.
No, it's just you said that was included in that minus
Yes.
273 over 10 years. And I know that school choice is such a convoluted thing. We don't get enough from the state to make it worthwhile. But if it's not costing us money because we're filling a slot that you're not hiring more teachers, then it's pure bonus money for that year. But subsequent years, it might cost us money and so I know it's convoluted, but I was just wondering if you had any idea if we didn't take school choice in, would you be down 20%, 25% in enrollment?
Well,
Or
I
would you
think
be
that's a
down?
great question, because if you think about the fact that we're down 11% with school choice, I can't even begin to imagine what that would probably look like without those funds. Also, as we get a little bit further in the process tonight, I will also share how much school choice funding we are using to offset the budget. So that is also something that I think is really important, because if that wasn't here, we would be, having a bigger conversation about the deficit.
But if that wasn't there and you were down another 25 positions because you didn't need it, that's what I say, it's such a convoluted concept, the whole school choice, because you don't know really you can't compare apples to apples.
And so last year, we did something that I think was beneficial for the school committee, is we know that you receive $5,000 for every student that walks in the door at school choice. Where things get a little bit more challenging to cost out is in when it comes to specialized services that students receive. So for example, I'll pretend that I'm a student. I'm a middle school student. I have dyslexia, diagnosis of dyslexia. I am in an inclusion classroom, and I receive specialized reading services 3 days a week. So what we did is we took a look at what the students were receiving. We looked at the teacher who was providing the services. We looked at how many students are in that inclusion classroom. So if there's 8 students that are receiving inclusion services, there would only be 7 without me there. And so we did the math on how many times a week, how many minutes a day, what is the hourly salary for that employee, what are we paying, what would be that one student's piece of the pie, so to speak. And then we would go, okay, she receives reading services. How many kids are in that group? What would that piece of the pie? And so we really went through, and I think Christina probably is having PTSD just thinking about it, because we had more than 60 students that were school choice that were also special education. And what happened was that we went through and we could see, okay, green, we're receiving more than it's costing us to educate the child, or red, we're receiving less than it's costing us to educate the child. And I don't have the exact numbers in front of me right now, and I apologize for that. We were to the good. At the end of the day, based on the services last year, based on what it was costing us to educate those students.
So you get to add on top of the 5,000.
Yes. Yep, so they reimburse us. And I know there was just I just saw another Schleicher name pop up with a comment. We are discussing school choice this coming week at our school committee meeting as well. Next, please. So this is something that I think is really important for us to all understand as well. Every year we hear a lot about the governor's budget. We hear about the revisions that it goes through before it finally gets signed, typically in late July. So well after our budget has been set for the year. And we are making assumptions. So all of you, unfortunately, have the responsibility of making assumptions of what that number is actually going to be. So right now, in FY26, we received $13,707,982 of our Chapter 70 Foundation enrollment. In the governor's proposed budget that was released at the beginning of March, we are only anticipated to have a 1.2% increase, or $75 per student, which for us is only $157,800. This may change. As we know, oftentimes the House will come in, or the Ways and Means Committee will come in with a little bit of a higher number. Last year was $150 per student. So that is something that we are always keeping an eye on. But as you've heard people before me say, Norton is considered an ability to pay district. We are considered a district that is, quote unquote, held harmless. If we were not held harmless, we would only be getting about half of that Chapter 70 amount. We would be around the $6 million range. Thankfully, we have this held harmless here in Massachusetts, and we're able to get that $13 million. But I think the important thing for all of us to understand is Norton will likely never leave the category of held harmless. We will likely never leave the category of ability to pay, because they're already overpaying us when it comes to Chapter 70 from their perspective. Now, we all know that the way that education is funded in the state of Massachusetts is incredibly broken. You have a student here in Norton who right now is assumed at $75 additional per student. You go over to a local community, they're receiving $1,200 for their student. I've said it before and I'll say it again. My kids are worth just as much here in Norton as they may be in other communities. But until we have a true review of Chapter 70 and how this is funded, the problem is always going to be the same for us here in Norton. That biggest share, the biggest box, our foundation, is coming from local aid and the Norton tax revenue. That is the largest percentage of our budget. And then we have our state aid, that Chapter 70, and then we have district revenue. So district revenue is charging students to take the bus, paying for athletics and fees, facility rental, school choice is even in that district revenue. So that's a very small piece of the pie. So I think this is really important for us to continue to have a conversation about. I went a few weeks ago to a really great legislative breakfast with other superintendents locally, and Senator Feeney was there, and Rep. Chasen, and then one of the staff members from Representative Howitt's office were all there. And it was really just superintendents sharing the challenges that we're having with funding schools. We were looking at an article over the weekend, my school committee and I, texting and saying, well, hell, if Lexington has to cut 62 positions, what does that say for us, right? So these are definitely issues that we need to talk about, and we're not going to be able to fix them here, but I think it's really important for you all to kind of see how the math works. Next. Thank you. So this is a new grid that we are including for the first time this year. This is also in your budget book, and this shows expenditures by function. Really, this is the way the Department of Education categorizes spending for every district. So it's a nice way for us to be able to kind of crosswalk and compare what we are doing and what we're spending our money on as comparing to other communities. So as you can see here, the largest piece of our pie goes to instruction. That is teaching and learning, staff positions, materials. The next biggest chunk is green, which is pupil services. That's special education. Then operations and maintenance. The purple is programs with other school districts, which is like our out-of-district tuitions for students that we're not able to educate here at home. And then the administrative positions, which is about 2%. It's that small pink piece. And if you go to the next page in your budget book, next, please, Blossom. This shows our comparison with our other comparable districts. The Department of Education puts together a list every year of DART districts. DART districts are comparables across the Commonwealth that have similar demographics, whether that is socioeconomic status, special education numbers. You look at achievement data, enrollment numbers. So these are the communities that they say we're most like. And so a few of them are very familiar to us. We've got, North Attleboro, it's basically right next door, and others are a little bit further. Belchertown, I'm actually not even really sure where that is. But as you can see, in the large majority of areas, we really are right in line with some of these comparable districts. Norton actually has the lowest percentage when it comes to administration across all of the districts. And I say that because I know that's always a conversation that comes up, right? We're so admin heavy. What are we doing? But it just goes to show that we're not as high as everyone thinks. The other thing that I think is really interesting to look at is that we are one of the top districts when it comes to instruction. So 58.36%. There is only one district that is higher than us, which is North Attleboro, and they're only a little bit higher. They're at 60.71. So this here, I want to be clear in telling you that the page before, the numbers are a little bit different. And the reason for that is because this graph actually includes those shared costs. So thinking about health insurance and those transportation, those types of items that are not necessarily included in the page previously. Next. Thank you. Special education is a huge driver of our budget, and we come in and we say this to you every year. I don't feel good about giving you a regular education budget and a special education budget. It feels like you're pitting kids and programs against each other. And at the end of the day, we have to make sure that every single student that walks through our door is getting a quality education. The difference between special education and general education is that there are so many more mandates in special education that we really don't have flexibility around. I have flexibility around class size. I have flexibility in how often I'm offering art or music or STEAM. I don't have a lot of flexibility when it comes to meeting the needs of a student that are documented in their IEP. So when we think about in-district costs, we're thinking about inclusion placements, we're thinking about specialized classrooms, services, occupational therapy, physical therapy, etc. Out of district student placements, that includes placements in special education collaboratives or private placements. Transportation costs, it's our responsibility to make sure that the students are getting to and from their home to their educational placement on a daily basis. And then we do have a few students that their needs are not able to be met in a day program and they have residential placements. So the out-of-district cost for our current school year is $3.9 million. That's a big driver when you think about our request for next year is $38 million. So just some things to notice. I do also want to draw your attention to the fact that our request is less than 0.5% more than it has been in our current year. That is actually a very low number, a low percentage for special education, and I think definitely the lowest that Christine and I have seen since we've been doing this process together. And ultimately, that comes because we are seeing a big decrease when it comes to tuitions. And that's just the changing needs of students. So whether they are aging out of a placement, they are, reaching that age of 22 or maybe graduating, or they're able to come back into district, use one of our own programs. The goal is always to have kids here at home, being able to be educated with their peers, with their siblings, and it's a lower cost for us to educate them here in their home community. But we can't always do that.
Mr. Chair, through you, I just have a quick question on this.
Please.
So I know that in past years, the number often changes of the expenses for special education because kids could move in throughout the summer. So is there a contingent or buffer that you put in the budget, and how much do you put in for that?
So we absolutely have backup plans. Christine typically budgets for one additional collaborative placement and one additional private placement based on the averages that we're seeing this year. So that typically, correct? So that typically gives us a little bit of wiggle room. And as you mentioned, Paula, these are changing targets daily. I'm giving you information tonight. We could go to the office tomorrow and Casey Russo could walk in and say, hey, so this is going to change. She could also walk in tomorrow and say, hey, I've got great news. So, it's definitely a moving target. The other thing that I think is really important for us is circuit breaker reimbursement. So as I was sharing with you earlier, we talked about Chapter 70. We talked about the advocacy around getting a group together to come and really look at how that is being funded. Circuit breaker is something else that we all really need to reach out to our representatives on. Right now, Norton Public Schools is responsible for the first $55,000 of any out-of-district placement. Anything over and above that $55,000, the state will reimburse us up to a certain percentage. So typically, the last few years, that has been about 75%. But until the budget is published in July, you really never know what's going to happen with that. A few years ago, we were seeing numbers more in the 60 to 65% range. There is some legislation at the State House now that is asking to increase that number to 85%. So that would be huge for us. There's also, we also get reimbursed for special education transportation for out-of-district placements. And there is a bill at the State House that is looking to fully fund that reimbursement. That money for Norton would be absolutely incredible. So the circuit breaker money must go expressly to tuitions. We can't use it for anything else. But sometimes when circuit breaker is good, when we've had a good year, we're able to put that towards tuitions and then save money elsewhere in the budget.
Mr. Chair,
Oh, please.
of the current 36, how many of those are out of placement residential? How many are we, do you know offhand how many we're actually paying for residency?
It's less than 5.
Less than 5. The circuit breaker, does that apply to the circuit breaker formula as
does.
well?
Yep, so the formula is the same. So again, first 55,000 is all on us, and then anything above and beyond that is reimbursed. It's a very small number of students that are in residential placements, and because it's such a small number, I have to be really careful about saying too much because I don't want anyone to be able to be identified based on the information that I'm sharing with you. So I'll say less than 5. Next. So as I mentioned, our goal is always to keep kids in Norton. Over the last several years, on the left-hand side, 2014, you can see we had less than 10 specialized classrooms. We now have about 30. And quite honestly, they're full. This is keeping kids in district. They're allowing students to attend school with their siblings and their neighbors and their peers, and also reducing the cost to the district for sending students out of district. So you can see 2019, 2020, that number in blue, those are the number of students that were out of district at that time. And you can see that number has come way down. We were at nearly 50 in 2019. Next. And then here are some other numbers in terms of the out-of-district costs. So as you can see, a few years ago, these numbers have been pretty consistent these last few years. And the cost has been fairly consistent as well. And you can see that for next year, where we are anticipating that reduction of about nearly 5% in special education placements.
Mr. Chair. So, Doctor, we pay the first 55,
Yes.
and we're averaging 127 on your budget showing. Is that other monies coming back at some point and going in somewhere else as far as above the 55?
I'm sorry, Mr. Schleicher, can you tell me where the other 127 was?
So you have the, you have like, for 25, 26 here, you have 36 students at 3,926,000
Yep.
change.
Yep,
The first 55 of that we owe.
correct.
Is the rest of that coming back at some point to our budget?
It does, and so it's a revolving account. So what happens is and maybe Christine might be better to give you the exact details. We get payments throughout the course of the year. They're dispersed at regular intervals, and the amount of money that you receive comes back a little bit at a time, and then they kind of do like an end of the year final total and then submit it. But you really don't get the money until the year is basically over. So we use money from this year's placements to basically pay for next year's tuitions because of the revolving nature of the account. Am I explaining that? Do you want to? See, I got to have my girl Friday up here with me. It's close.
But your budget this year is showing the full amount though in your actual budget, no matter what?
No.
Or-
No. So it comes in 4 times a year. It's quarterly payments. Jen was right that they do a shuffle, so to speak, at the end where they would reduce the last payment or add a little extra. But we're doing it actually right now where we're claiming everybody for FY26 currently, and then we do a final claim in July. And then in FY27, we will pay for this claim that we're receiving in FY for the 26 students. So you always have to pay the prior year. But the budget contains both the circuit breaker funds and also the budgeted amounts. And then, so we pay for the first 55. You pay for the whole thing the first year, but then you pay for the first 55, and then it's either 60%. Lately, it's been 75% reimbursement. So it's not just the 55. So you just get whatever they decide to allocate. And then the same with the transportation. One year we said that we were going to get 80% and we got 50. So we weren't anticipating that.
And that's why I think out of all the budgets, this one's more confusing for us because there's so many pockets of in and out monies and stuff like that. It's hard to really make sense for year to year even look and get an honest feeling for it, you know?
Right. And then, for example, what Jen was saying Dr. O'Neill was saying for the how we're having so much savings this year is because this past summer we got a transportation extra payment that was from a year and a half ago. That was for that 55% or 53% that we got. They were trying to make you whole. And nobody expected that, and then it was great because it was a couple $100,000. So that kind of helped offset. That was huge for us for this budget. It was just that small extra payment.
Thank you.
And so I think I'm going to ask Bassam to move forward a slide, please. And so I'm going to talk about this super, super quick, but then I want to go back to the conversation about circuit breaker and how we use that money to offset the actual cost. So as I mentioned prior, this is a needs-based budget. So in this budget, it's really the grade 5 classroom teacher is not an additional cost to the budget. It's just us moving numbers around and moving sections around to put somebody where we need them in order, because the current 4th graders, there are rising 5th graders. It's a little bit of a bigger class. They have some, more specific instructional needs. We need to make sure that we're not taking them from 8 classes down to 7, because that is just going to be way too many kids in a section. And so what would happen is we're just taking a section from somewhere else and moving that. So there's really no additional cost to the budget. What we are asking for is another special education teacher at the high school, and then an English language teacher at a 0.4. So it's a 1.4 increase over our current staffing model. We also really probably could use a dean of students at JCS. Mr. Barrett is there by himself. It's a big school. It's a lot for one individual to kind of handle. A few years ago, as part of the FY25 budget, we cut 2 of our custodial staff. It would be really great to have a night custodian back, and then a STEAM teacher at the middle school, which we cut a few years ago. The ones in red are not included in this budget. And then everything above and beyond is also not included as well. But these are things that our team has requested or said this would really help us. Yes, Zach.
Can I ask a stupid question?
I love them, yes.
So, back in the Stone Age, when I went to school, the vice principal was, I think, the disciplinarian, so on and so forth. So, can you explain what exactly the function of a dean of students is in school today?
So it really would serve in that disciplinary role. It's a little bit different because a dean of students is part of the teacher's contract. So they stay on the teacher's salary scale and they're a union member, versus hiring an administrator to serve in that role would be a little bit more expensive. The difference in the 2 roles is that if you are a member of the teachers union, you are not allowed to evaluate teachers. So this would allow us to take someone out of the classroom, continue paying them what they're being paid, and they would serve in that supervisory role for students. So they could be doing the lunch duties, they could be handling all of the student discipline issues, and allow Mr. Barrett at JCS to be the instructional leader of the building, which is very different than I think it was probably when you and I were in school. But yes. Next. Thank you. So this is where the circuit breaker conversation comes in. So these are other funding sources that we have. And so this budget assumes that we are putting $1.7 million of our revolving funds from school choice into this budget to balance it. There is only 1 staff person that is being paid out of that line. To clarify, they are not being paid $1.7 million. They are just in there for, because the budget can't support it. Previously, we had seen a lot of staffing positions in this school choice line, and that is not something that Christine and I are interested in doing, because if this school choice funding dries up, there is no way that we would be able to sustain staffing positions in that place. The rest of the school choice funding is simply instructional materials. It is all of our supplies and materials for students and for staff. It is curriculum purchases and materials. It is all of our technology, hardware, software. It is a lot of money that we use for professional development. Our teachers have a great course reimbursement. We're paying the course reimbursement out of school choice. There's simply really nowhere else to put it in the budget. So we are relying, while we're not relying on school choice for staffing, we are relying on school choice for basically everything else. And so I think, Paula, you asked the question earlier, or somebody asked the question earlier about what happens with the school choice funds. we're literally using it to balance the budget.
How many students are in school choice in your budget?
So this is what we're anticipating to. The next slide. I'm going to show you what we've received and what we're anticipating to receive, but it accounts for the current 204. So it's not a perfect math equation, which makes it challenging because when you think, okay, 1.7 divided by 5,000, that's a lot of kids. It doesn't always work out that way. And also, I think it's important to know that the school choice fund is also a revolving account. And so we can use that from year to year. And when years were good and we had a lot of school choice money coming in and we also had ESSER funds, we didn't have to rely on it as much. But now the good days are over and we are really relying on the school choice funds. The next one down shows circuit breaker. So we are anticipating using $1.8 million in circuit breaker for tuition. So we will receive that money that will be from previous years, and we're able to use that to offset the cost of sending students out of district. As Mr. Schleicher previously said, it's very complicated. There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to the school budget. We are not able to use that for staffing at all. It has to go directly to those out-of-district placements and out-of-district transportation. We have a facilities revolving account. As you all know, we have a beautiful set of fields. The goal is that at some point we're going to have to replace those fields, and we want to be able to have the majority of the funding to do that within this facilities revolving. We also pay part of our director of facilities salary out of the facilities revolving, as well as 3 custodians out of the facilities revolving. Preschool is parents who are sending their children to Little Lancers preschool. That goes to pay for about 4 staff members there. Transportation cuts down our cost of our big yellow bus contract. Tuition, this is actually a different line for us this year. As some of you may or may not know, the Reed's Deaf and Hard of Hearing program has purchased a building in town. They are actually right next to Flaky Cross Pies. They've done an incredible job renovating that old co-op building. It looks absolutely beautiful. And so they're still renting space from us at the Yale School, the middle school, and a little bit at the high school. But they're not renting as much space. So we came to an agreement that they're going to pay for the space they're using in those buildings, but they're also going to provide us with a tuition for every student that is part of the Reed's program that attends Norton Public Schools, because they're accessing our classrooms, our teachers, our specialists, and all of the other things that they're accessing during the day. So our previous contract was a straight facilities rental. And this contract is now part facilities rental, which goes to facilities, and part tuition, which we can use to offset the cost of staff. And then finally, athletics comes from our students that are playing sports and paying fees to play sports. On the right-hand side, these are some of our entitlement grants. You may or may not be aware that there is a lot of chatter at the federal level when it comes to these federal entitlement grants. For the upcoming school year, we are still anticipating that we will see the federal special education entitlement grant. We are anticipating that we will see the early childhood federal grant. Title I in the state of Massachusetts is looking to take a huge hit because while things kind of seem the same for us, our percentage of low-income families in the state of Massachusetts is actually declining, or everyone else in the country's seeing an increase in their low-income families. So we're getting less of the pie than we have in the past. This year we received about 330,000. We're anticipating that number may be cut in half for next year. But again, we will not know until July when the budget is set and you have to already make your plans. So we're looking at a lot of different options there. Title II, III, and IV, every year we receive them, it's a gift. I don't know how much longer that will happen. Next. And the school choice slide. So as you can see on the left-hand side, we are showing you the funds that we've received and then the funds that we expend each year. So that first year, it looks like we spent everything but about $36,000 in 2021. And what Christine and I are trying really hard to do is not spend everything that we receive year over year so that we have a little bit of a buffer should these numbers dwindle. And as you can see on the right-hand side, we went from a high, let's see, FY23, we had 238 kids, 246 kids, 231, and now we're down to 204 during this current school year. So we know we will be bringing in less money from school choice next year.
Have you changed what level you're bringing them in? I thought there was going to be an adjustment there, like you weren't going to be bringing in.
So what we've done the last few years is we used to have open school choice. So open school choice meant that there were seats available at every level. And what the previous school committee and administration would do is say, well, we have 5 seats at every level in K to 5. And then we have 10 seats from 6 to 12. So in FY25, because we cut 29 staff positions that year, the only place we allowed school choice was in grades 7 to 10. And that was it. We did 5 seats in 7, 8, 9, and 10. Last year, we did 5 seats in grade 7. Our current grade 7 cohort's actually our smallest grade out of any other grade level. It's a really interesting little bubble. And then we did 5 seats between grades 9 and 10. So that was it. And we actually did not fill them all. We filled the 5 at the high school. We filled, I believe, 1 in grade 7. So our recommendation for this coming I'll share my recommendation on Wednesday with the school committee, and we'll have a conversation about what their priorities are. It will be, again, not open school choice. It'll be based on our enrollment and some of the other conversations that we need to have about the budget. Next. So I know we have been asked to really also come and present a level funded budget to all of you. And I would not be doing my job as the superintendent if I don't first tell you what the actual needs are of our students in our schools. So a level funded budget for us is a cut of $1,632,514 from the request that I've showed you here tonight. It's probably, I'd say, about 8 to 10 staffing positions. And so what we would focus on there would be, we would have to increase class size. One area that we tried really hard to protect during our last significant budget cut was elementary class size, because we know that when you have 5 and 6 and 7-year-olds, having less students with one educator is a much more ideal situation. So we would probably be looking at where we could eliminate class sections at the elementary level in order to take some of those positions there. We would be looking at the way that we deliver our specialized services. So whether that is inclusion caseloads at the secondary level, making sure that increasing those caseloads for teachers. So right now at the middle school, we have a number of special educators. What would that look like if we changed that delivery model? What would that look like if we changed our delivery model when it comes to interventions? And then we would have to also have a conversation of reorganizing the administrative positions that we have now and seeing if there are ways that we can share staff in a different way. When it comes to line item reductions, as I've shared with you, a large majority of our budget is staffing. So we would be looking at reallocating positions to revolving accounts. So for example, the facilities revolving, we have 3.6 staff members in there. Could we, move one more person over there? Could we move someone else to the preschool? And then we would also be looking at extracurricular activities. I can't, in good faith, say I'm going to cut all of these staff positions and still run 35 clubs at the middle school and 60 clubs at the high school. It's going to have to give somewhere. So those are, just initial thoughts. The school committee will receive a much more detailed version of this when we meet on Wednesday night. And as those of you who I've, worked with in the past know, I will never announce positions publicly before I tell my staff what is happening with their role. So next. And that's it. I think someone has a question.
Do. You were just mentioning class sizes. So I am curious, and you may not have the numbers ready. But I was thinking about this over the past couple weeks. Increases in class sizes. So you said that has not affected K through 5?
Correct.
Okay.
We've done our
My
very
son had a very
best.
large class last year in 5th grade, but okay.
So 5th grade is the place where we cut that one 5th grade teacher. It was a retirement during the FY25 cycle. We went from 8 down to 7, and we've been able to squeak it through. The current 4th grade class, we can't. We simply can't. And so what we'll have to do is we'll have to take a position from somewhere else in order to alleviate what that would look like at grade 5.
And for the middle school, what would you say, what has been the increase in the class sizes like over the past few years? I'm curious.
So the middle school changed structurally during the FY25 budget cycle. And what we did is we eliminated world language in grade 8. And then we also eliminated those double math and double ELA prior to that. And so what happened is that instead of having 5 core classes, they now have 4 core classes. So they have ELA, math, science, and social studies. So you had a team that you used to be able to divide up amongst 5 classrooms is now being divided up amongst 4 classrooms. So as part of your budget book, and again, I apologize that you guys are just receiving this, you'll see each school has its own page. And on that page, it has, well, number one, it has all of the salary line items for you, and the number of FTEs that correlate with each line item. Then it will have the line items when it comes to supplies and materials. And at the bottom, it will give you the enrollment number, it will give you the attendance rate, and then it will give you the average class size. So when you're taking a look at JCS and LGN, it's 1819, which is awesome. Like, I can say that out loud. I know how good we have it at the elementary level. Like, that is something that would have to change. At the Yale school, that the average class size is 25. So that's a little bit more challenging. If you have a 4th or 5th grader, you know that. At the middle school, it's roughly 20. And high school, it's really difficult for me to give you an average class size because you have big classes like English 10, where every single sophomore is taking English, and maybe some are taking honors, but the large majority are taking that class. Versus you get to juniors and seniors, and I'm going to take AP Environmental Science, and that might only have 15 kids in it. The other thing that we have to talk about is maybe you need to limit electives for students at the high school, because if I don't have, 15 students to run the class, then the class doesn't get run, which is really difficult to tell high school students. And for those of us who have high school students, we know how much kids say, I really want to take this class my junior year or this class my senior year, because it's helping them build that college resume and helping them to figure out what they want to do. And so those are some things that we're going to have to look at.
But so for the middle school, would you say, like, what would you say the average class size was for like an English class 5 years ago compared to what it is now?
So I would say now it says about 20. And I think that at the middle, so we also have the 7th graders that are throwing off those numbers a little bit because it's such a small cohort. So I would say our 8th grade class sizes are closer to 25. And 6th grade is probably 23, 24, where the 7th grade is bringing that average down. And they were definitely less prior to that.
Yeah.
The challenge with the middle school, it's both the best thing about a middle school and it's the most challenging thing when it comes to making budgetary decisions, is the team model. Because for every grade level, we have 2 teams. You have the purple team and you have the white team. And for each team, I need a math teacher, I need a science teacher, I need a social studies teacher, I need a science teacher, I need a special educator, because that's how it works. And so, you change that, you're going back to a traditional junior high model where I'm now the math teacher and I'm teaching 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And that would change the whole dynamic of Norton Middle School, which I think no one would want to see.
Yeah, I mean, so my daughter just finished 3 years of the middle school, the Norton Middle School. She's in high school now. And she just faced a lot of challenges. Like, the teachers were absolutely amazing. I can't say enough about the teachers that are in middle school. But I mean, I would see, she would come home on a daily basis and tell me, I have questions, for my teacher, but I can't get her attention because so the number of IEPs, I think, have also increased over the years. So with the class sizes increasing, the number of IEPs and the teachers having to do more has
And that also
increased. So it was just insane that, my daughter would have to go a week sometimes waiting to be able to meet with her teacher with a question that she had.
And that goes from having 5 sections to spread kids out amongst to having 4 sections. There's only so
Yeah.
many places to put kids.
Right. It's tough, with the cuts and.
Yeah. I know I'm preaching to the choir. So
Mr. Chair. Zach? So you got a lot of numbers here.
I do.
And kudos to Christine. I don't know how you keep track of it all. But is there a one-pager that tells me, what is that total spend to operate these schools? It's not $38 million.
to not break them?
No, to operate
Oh,
them.
to operate them.
I would like to see, to not
I'm like,
break
oh,
them.
geez, I don't know.
I would like to see, you're asking 38 million from the town, but then you're getting 13.8 from the state, and then you're getting some, and all these
So
different
the
funding.
38 million includes the 13 from the state.
Okay, so is that your total spend?
That's our total spend,
Plus, what,
plus school choice, plus circuit breaker. So it's like 40.
then fixed and shared,
I'm sorry?
and then fixed and shared expenses?
Fixed and shared, yep.
So I would like to see a one-pager that explains, this is our total spend. This is our federal money, this is our state money, this is our circuit breaker money, and it's all, this is, what we're getting for transportation, and this is what our fixed and shared expenses are that we're getting separately from the town, and this is, I know you said somewhere in here that was $18,000 per student, but if we could just dumb it down a little bit for the average person looking at this at home, because when you look at this, it's not, without going through it, and it's not, easy to
Christine has, I think, something to say, but I also know that we have been asked in the past to be very transparent. And
is
so
very
we
transparent.
try very, very hard to make sure that you guys have all the numbers that you need. So Christine, why don't you come up? And
I agree with
talk
that,
into
but
the
just add
microphone.
one more page with a Reader's Digest version of all of it.
Cliff Notes?
Yes, one page.
You have to use the mic. But they can't hear you.
But then you guys would be asking for more.
I was just going to say, Mr. Tillis, that we do a end of year report every year in September for the state, and it encompasses everything that you said. So it's about 52 million. That includes city and town combined expenses. I can give you a summary of, it's actually like Schedule 19 is what it's called, and it will show you a combined of insurance that's paid. I mean, it's huge, but if that's what you want.
And I want the condensed version.
I will try to
And when you say, right, you're asking for 4.1% increase, is it 4.1% increase on all budget? Total budget for last year, total budget for FY26 versus total budget for FY27 from all funding sources. Does that amount to 4%?
It's
Or is that a different number?
4.4% on what we received from the town
Okay.
in FY26 versus FY27. Because we're going out and working to get the other money. So whether it's school choice, whether that's grant writing, all of those other things, we're trying to bring in as much other as we can. So it's
And
yes.
I agree to that,
Yep.
but it should be disclosed to say,
So
okay.
it's 4.4 based on what we received from the town in previous years. And that's how we've always done it that way. We typically do not account for the fixture and shared costs.
Okay,
But happy to get that for you.
thank you.
Of course.
Mr. Chair,
Brandon?
does this budget include any increases with the contract negotiations?
They're built in.
Okay.
That's part of the salary increase. Yep. So we, as you all know, negotiated for 15 long months, and we're very happy to come to an agreement with the teachers and paras. And all of that has been done within the constructs of our FY26 budget. We do not need to ask for any additional funds. And all of those increases are included in the number that we're discussing for FY27.
Thank you.
Of course.
Anybody else?
Thank you all.
Thank
We appreciate
you.
it. Have a great night.
Thank you.
I think we also need time to digest since we just got it.
So, Mr. Chair, the only two other items are the Southeastern Regional School District and the Bristol County Agricultural High School assessments for fiscal '27. And they are, as indicated in the information in your packet, the Southeastern School is $1,733,026, which represents approximately a $100,000 increase from last year due to increased enrollment. And Bristol Aggie is actually a slight reduction from last year to $137,756.58 based on 14 student enrollment.
So I wasn't paying 100% attention on a news clip I heard. Is the regional school going through like some major expansion?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
What I believe happened, not a major expansion, I believe the way they're allocating how many kids they're taking from the town was about to change. And from what I read, again, I think this was last year, maybe the superintendent knows better, that would increase the number of kids that Norton would be sending. That was what I read, again, a year ago, because the state was changing the formula and how they grant, I guess, scholarships.
Village,
Yeah.
There was some recent like news advertisement clip on how they're expanding programs and
I mean,
and
if the committee's
Right.
interested, we could certainly have the Superintendent McClannon, I believe it is.
they usually come
They usually do.
make a presentation.
I can give you a super quick Cliff Notes version of the lottery system. So the way that it worked before is that students were able to apply. They have a certain number of seats per community. So, but it was basically merit-based. They would look at students' grades. They would look at their IEP. They would bring them in for an interview, and they would select the students that they thought would be best. Now it is a straight lottery. So every single student that applies has the exact same chance of getting in, regardless of the grade system, their discipline record, their interview. None of those things matter anymore. So it is a straight lottery. When we will share probably a little bit more explicit data with you, just so you can see it. But the town of Norton has to pay a specific assessment to Southeastern and to Bristol Aggie based on the size of our community. We've actually seen a decline, not much, but last year we had 84 students at Southeastern. This year we have 80, and then Bristol Aggie has been 14 both years in a row. We had a big decline in the charter schools. We were at 52 and now we're at 40.
And is this the first year that they're doing the lottery system?
So it just took place a couple weeks ago. And so it's for the incoming freshman class. It's the very first year.
So we don't have those numbers yet? How many have been?
No, I don't have them off the top of my head. I know I have them. But then you also have to remember that not everyone who gets in goes. So they may reserve X amount of seats for Norton, but there's not a guarantee that we'll fill them all too.
So they don't go to a different candidate?
They can. They can, and then you kind of see where the chips fall. It's just like the college acceptance with waiting lists and things like that.
And there's no true up or true down based on what you pay and how many end up going in, or is it a thanks for paying, you end up with
I
half
think
based on the
there is a
lottery?
certain assessment that you're going to pay regardless, and then the number fluctuates. But Christine's looking for it right now, and I'll share it with Mr. Rotundi, and then perhaps he can share it with the rest of the committee.
Thank you.
Of course.
Anything else?
That's about it for tonight.
That's number 4 on the agenda.
Public hearing?
Oh, yeah, public
yes.
hearing.
So on that, I will say it takes 2 to 3 weeks notice to the Sun Chronicle. So I would suggest we hold off on scheduling that until. I mean, we could schedule it for maybe the 3rd or 4th week of April.
Is there a requirement that it be so many days before a town meeting, though, or anything like that, Mark?
No, there's no requirement.
No requirement, so just before.
I mean, so maybe the last week of April, first week of May, I'd suggest for the committee's consideration.
Mr. Chair,
Yep.
is that something we want to do before we vote on individual budgets, or?
I would think it's after.
Okay, so if we've already voted on them, and why do we need what's the point of having comment from the public if everything's already finalized?
Good point. I don't know. How do we, it's usually pretty late in the
I would think,
process.
Yeah,
I would
usually
think.
it's that last
I
Monday
don't
of
know,
April.
When is the town manager making his recommendations to the finance committee?
Next week.
Okay, so I would say right after that, before we start.
It's gotta be at least
Voting.
3
In
weeks
the
out,
Sun
Mark, right? 'Cause of
Chronicle,
the
though, he
Sun
said.
Chronicle.
Okay.
Probably too
I mean,
early, but we
no
could do the 20th.
technical requirement to post it 2 weeks in advance.
That's Patriots Day.
Oh yeah, so we're meeting that Wednesday then, if that's the Patriots Day week.
We normally don't meet on school vacation weeks.
No, we do.
We have.
We have. Sadly.
You can zoom in.
You can zoom in from Greece or somewhere.
I will be in warmer climates.
Mr. Chair.
Although I did zoom in last week from warmer climates.
You should ask for attendance for that Wednesday because I have a feeling a lot of people can't make it.
What day are we talking?
Like the
What's that, the 15th are we
Nine.
talking about? April
April 22nd.
15th?
Wednesday would be April
20
22nd.
22nd.
Administrative Professionals Day, whatever that is.
22nd.
Okay.
The 19th would be Patriots Day then.
Brandon.
So I'm trying to think of the best way to bring this topic up, but not having a town accountant is very concerning to me, especially going through this process. It's kind of like a check and balances. You know, I just feel like things are going to be delayed. We go to James to get answers. He responds right away. Now we need to go to the town manager. He needs to do research, come back to us. I guess I'm just voicing it to the committee. I'm not, I don't think it's a good situation personally, but I don't know what else we can do, but just wanted to voice that.
Understood, and I think we'll have something in place by the end of the week. I'm fairly confident.
Okay.
So Chair, can I jump in?
Still talking about public hearing.
Is that Nick?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
I guess this would be directed to you since you're the chair of FinCom. Can you just please enlighten us on how it is possible that the school budget books that have been dropped off for weeks, containing very important information, evaluating staffing, programming, cost of doing business, everything that is in those books, got dropped to a mailbox in the basement of Town Hall, leaving 11 Finance Committee members who have no idea that they have a mailbox in the basement of Town Hall. How is that overlooked?
How is not knowing where the mailbox is in the new building?
How is it that we have 11? How is it that we have 11 FinCom members, some who have been there for multiple years, don't understand that they have a mailbox down in the basement where they're supposed to get materials?
I'm not going to say we didn't understand there was a mailbox, because as I brought up to Mark a couple of weeks ago, in the old building, we had a mailbox. Where is it in this building? So,
I don't know, but if I was the chair of the school committee and I didn't know there was a mailbox and important information was being delivered to that mailbox, where is the responsibility held? Is it with you? Is it with the town manager? Who's taking the blame on this? Because the school department and Christine and Jen and the school committee have done a lot of work putting budget books together for the FinCom, so you guys have an idea of what we're doing, where you can see it, where it's all laid out, to review before meetings, and no one's seen the budget book. I'm not placing blame on all 11 of you.
No, Mr. Chair?
go ahead, Paul.
So Nick, I can tell you that we all shouldn't be having access to the mailbox. That usually is just the chair, because you don't want everyone just going through the mail and having access to everyone else's mail, because they're not, I don't think they're secure, are they, Mark? Per se?
I
They're just a
believe the
slot?
copy room is usually locked.
Yeah, so I'm not sure, Nick, but yeah, it would normally be in the old town halls, right in the center of the main floor, and you'd grab it on your way by, but yeah, here I guess it's down in the basement. We as committee members wouldn't have known that, and from the understanding, I don't think Bill knew it either, correct?
I did not know where it was.
I don't know who dropped the ball.
I knew we had one.
So I just want to reiterate, 11 FinCom members don't know there's a mailbox in the new town hall where delivered information from the school department. I'm assuming not directly to the mailbox. I'm assuming it went, whether through the town manager's office or somewhere else, containing vital information on the biggest budget in town, and it never got into your members' hands. That's correct.
Tonight.
Until just a couple hours ago, that's correct.
And we wonder, and again, I don't want to put this blame on all 11 of you, because I don't even really want to put it on you, Bill, because I think we know what kind of happened here, and it was never really put out that there was budget books down there, because I think if it was, you probably would have went down and grabbed them. However, we know in this town, transparency is a big thing. We see it all the time. And I'm sitting here from home watching 11 people, or give or take, however many of you are there tonight, who didn't get the biggest budget in the books that are representing what's going on in town. You want to talk about transparency and trust and earning the trust back of our residents. How the hell can we sit in this meeting and think that, hey, this is actually going well? When the people who control and have huge recommendations at town meeting for these budgets don't even know that a massive book was handed to them with everything information-wise from the schools and was just left in a basement in town hall. Shame on Mr. Gould, shame on the town clerk, shame on Bill, whoever it may be. Someone better take responsibility for it, because that's an absolute joke. The taxpayers should be pissed.
I would suggest emailing it to the committee next time. Then they have it if you emailed it to them.
So,
Thought it was
rather-
emailed to everybody.
Yeah, rather than going back and forth, I will say, Nick, that the presentation tonight was very enlightening, and it did hit the really great highlights and stuff, and we'll all digest it over the next week or so. We're not doing recommendations or anything like that tonight anyways, but you're right, it would have been nice to have it a couple weeks ago.
I think it's always our goal to get it to you guys as soon as possible, because we do know how comprehensive it is. We know it's the biggest budget in town. It was delivered, I believe, on the Tuesday the 17th or Wednesday the 18th, and then I emailed the chair and the vice chair letting you know that it was here at Town Hall, and there was also a link online. So I apologize. That was not given to you directly.
Did I not forward that?
You did on the 19th, Mr. Chair,
Thank you.
in your defense.
Thank you.
So,
So-
I think, to Paul's point, we didn't make any recommendations. 11 days ago, we did receive this, so that's on us for not reviewing it before this meeting. That's fair feedback for sure, but I think we also are not making the recommendations. This is generally our introduction to the budget, to the school budget, is this kind of coming up on this meeting. So, feedback received, but I don't know if it's necessarily that extreme of a situation, in my opinion.
So did you see the budget book or you didn't?
I received the budget book 11 days ago, and
You failed to review it.
I'm not sure this is a healthy.
No.
I think we're going to fully analyze this before there's any vote. I think we're
Yeah, we're
weeks
not
away
voting on
from
it.
any vote on any part of the budget. I have full confidence that all the members will do their due diligence.
yeah, that's my point.
Take
Thank
my
you.
responsibility for not, shouting it from the rooftops.
Doctor, we don't have a big attendance here tonight, but I will also say that according to the email, it's available on the website for all the townspeople to see too.
So I guess to close this out, the information was forwarded about 2 weeks ago. The physical book was just presented to us tonight. So I'm really not sure what the point of this conversation is any longer.
We're not voting on it.
So I guess I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want to regret what I'm about to say.
I will say, Mr. Chair, we appreciate the school's presentation, the work that went into preparing it, and all the work that's done at the school department, and look forward to working collaboratively on this budget, getting it across the finish line, keeping in mind the fiscal constraints of the town, looking at the town as a whole, working together, earning back the trust of the residents.
Are there any other matters before us this evening?
Did we set a public hearing date? Did I miss
Yeah.
that?
We had said that Patriots Day is April 20th. I believe we were going to take a poll if we should have a meeting Wednesday, the 22nd.
If we'll have quorum, yeah.
So we can do that. Hopefully next week we have full attendance to then query who will or will not be able to make it.
Mark, did you say we had to figure out public hearing date tonight though because of the Sun Chronicle or something? What did you say?
We don't have to. Just the sooner the better for public notice.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, the Sun Chronicle and delivery in Norton is down to like almost nil. Is that still the requirement that goes there, not just posting on social media and things like that? Is it?
I don't believe it's actually a requirement. I believe we go above and beyond the minimum requirements.
We don't know yet, Peter.
I mean, we don't have to choose tonight. We could choose in 2 weeks, in 4 weeks, in 5 weeks.
Unless someone wants to make a recommendation on what day.
I recommend Monday, April 28th, just because we've always done it that last
27th,
Monday.
but yes.
Sorry, 27th.
Paula, what?
I stand corrected. I often make mistakes.
And that's not a vacation week.
No, that one's the week after.
Make a motion, huh?
So we still got Saturday.
Paula made the motion, so,
Second.
We have to figure it out.
okay. I have a motion and a second for the public hearing on Monday, April 27th.
7.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? That's unanimous.
27.
Mr. Chair,
Zach?
is there, Mark, any way promote it other than the Sun Chronicle, seeing, there's probably 3 subscribers.
We post
I don't know,
it on the
Norton Alerts
website.
or something.
On social media.
Peter Wiggins' channel.
Yep. We can put it on the socials. I think that's a great idea.
Thanks, Peter.
Yes.
Thanks,
Thank
Peter.
you.
I wonder if how many people are actually going to tune in by Zoom or.
We had a bunch last year.
Mr. Chair,
Gavin?
I did have one more thing I wanted to circle back on, if we could. The discussion about the water revenue from last meeting. It would be okay if we talked about that for a few minutes.
Okay.
So I guess I don't think the select board has met since then, right? I didn't see a meeting. I didn't see an agenda or anything. Has any more information been shared about that? Like we kind of heard that there was a discovery, and then there was no number attached to it. It was several years we discovered something. So I was wondering if any other information had been shared on that.
I can say we've been diligently looking into this. I reached out to the DPW director. I'd rather not share partial and incomplete information and have him come in and give it to you directly. It was more than 1 year, but there's no
Okay.
Can
So
you
one
repeat
sec,
that?
Zach. If I
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
more than 1 year
Of what? Of not underreporting?
of underestimating revenues in water and sewer in the budget. To be clear, they were calculated and collected in retained earnings. No money was lost. So if you're on Facebook, no money was lost. It's all there. Nobody's walking away with ratepayer money, but it wasn't budgeted fully in the beginning of the year.
So, Mike, are you done? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, Zach. I guess I totally hear you on not wanting to talk about partial information. So I actually wasn't necessarily trying to get into it tonight, although like the nitty gritty of it. But what I did want to ask, because I do think I think Bonnie said, as much it was a good problem to have, but it's still a problem. And to Nick's point about transparency and trust in this town, it's kind of at a premium. And I really would like to see a postmortem or a root cause analysis about how this happened, what exactly happened. And it's not a witch hunt at all. In fact, it should probably have nobody's name in it. But what policy in the water department or what policy or accounting policy, whatever it was, led to this, and what corrective actions have been taken is kind of, and that's what we do at work when we have an incident like this. I'm a software engineer. We stole that probably from the real engineers with licenses. So I'd love to see something like that. I'd love to see that published for the people to see. It probably, in detail and done well, probably can't be done before town meeting with everything else that you all have in your plate. But in the summer would be fine as well. Good things, sometimes you have to wait for them, but I think it's an opportunity here, Mark, because it wasn't your fault. You weren't here. Whatever happened, so we can kind of honestly have a retrospective on the situation, whatever happened. And if Zach, if you want to go into that, that's fine. But it was a bit more of a meta request on my part.
Mr. Chair, the root cause analysis of things should go back to, at the end of the day, you have to, your results need certified. And so how were results certified if you can't bridge from A to B? Whether that's with the state or a third party auditor, I'm not totally privy to on the municipal side what the full reconciliation when you certify the results, but how did we certify our retained earnings?
Sure, and we can get into that process at the appropriate time. I can say going forward, it's not going to be done that way, and you'll see. Right now, we'll have a line that's, if revenues exceed expenses, which I anticipate they will, there'll be a line that says surplus revenue.
Mr. Chair,
Brandon?
Gavin, to your point, though, I almost feel like it should be done before the town meeting, especially if we're voting on a water and sewer department budget. So I personally would like to see it before.
Sir, yeah, that's a fair point. I was trying to be reasonable with my ask here, but
We'll bring as much information as we can.
I do appreciate that for sure.
So, can we state with certainty that our financials that we've done over the past couple of years aren't being restated? Are the financials correct? It's just some internal issue, or are our town financials going to be restated potentially?
At this point, I can't say with certainty. It's more than likely our financials are accurately stated. It's one of those accounting assumptions, accounting estimates, maybe even budget best practice strategy. So there was
It's
was
more
it a built-in
internal?
hedge? Was it acting like a built-in revenue hedge?
I mean, I can't speak to, I wasn't here a year ago. It seems it was a conservative assumption, obviously, if they knew it was an assumption, or if it just was calculated that way.
Mr. Chair,
Zach?
just for the public, if anybody's watching this, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, on anything I say here. We have a third-party accountant that audits our books every year, correct?
We do have an auditor.
And then when we're done with that, those books go to the state and they're certified every year, are they not?
They are.
So the notion that there's been money stolen, this, that, the other, is completely false unless there was a conspiracy going on of epic proportion. And
They don't
probably
believe
somebody would be going out in handcuffs if that was the case. So I think we should put to bed the notion that money's been stolen. I think it's a fair assumption, and I emphasize the word assumption, that they maybe underestimated the revenues. But on the other hand, that is done every year. That's how we end up with free cash. Because if the town manager or the accountant team wanted to, they could certainly tighten up those numbers. They know what the revenues are from, let's say, excise tax or permits based on previous history. And if they wanted to, they could bring that very nice, tight, so you had almost no free cash at the end of the year, or drastically reduced. And that's not done because we want to have free cash, because unfortunately, stuff happens. So I will leave it at that. If anybody wants to correct anything I said, have at it.
No, Mr. Chair, I agree. I just think if we are going to have a 15%, 10 out of 12, missing 2 months, revenue hedge, we've got to go, the 11 of us cannot be in the dark to that throughout an entire budget process. Fundamentally changes our decisions when there's that much money missing from your revenue top line forecast. And it may end up in a good retained earnings number, but we didn't get it about it the right way.
Yep.
And going forward, that will be rectified.
Anything, well, no, back up. No, we voted. Anything else?
We have to do minutes.
Do we have minutes?
Oh, minutes.
No minutes.
I haven't seen that.
So we're good. Anything else?
Yeah, right. I used to work at General Electric.
Hearing nothing, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Brandon?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
I just want to say thank you, Dr. O'Neill, and in the schools.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's always very thorough and appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, well.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you.